Benny boy, welcome. So welcome to the Mindful Journey podcast with your host, Brian McLaughlin, which I'm a mental performance consultant in the greater Toronto area. And on this podcast, we will dive into the journeys of high performers and find practical tools that will help all of us from the day to day, learning from those that have gone the distance or that are currently on their journey. So today we have Kris Bennett, also known as Benny Boy. Benny Boy is a former captain of the UMB Reds men's hockey team and currently a forward with the Stockton Heat of the AHL. Benny Boy is a good friend. I've never seen somebody work harder in the gym. And last but not least, he led the CIS All-Star 3-on-3 tournament put on by Beyond the Game, a not-for-profit organization with back-to-back championships. Also leading the league in points, playing time, and possibly everything else. So without further ado, welcome, Benny Boy.
Thanks for having me, Bri. No, this will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. I'm in Calgary right now. I signed with Stockton Heat in the AHL about a month ago now. So kind of just grinding away here. It's pretty crazy. Like we play so often, almost every second day, and the travel's been pretty crazy. But just soaking it all in and making the most of it. It's been great. The team's doing good. We've kind of been on a slump as of late with wins right now, but the guys are great. We're having fun and working hard. So everything's been good.
And probably a big change from going from being kind of stuck in Fredericton and not playing and kind of being able to practice but not able to play an actual game and that's probably the longest off season you've had in your career so far, right?
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. Like this summer at the start of the pandemic, like we had no idea what was going to happen with our season, and just grinded away with Andrew Martin, my strength and conditioning coach, and Jeff Schmogi as well. Just working hard and trying to get better every single day. Then the season got canceled pretty early on in the fall, and then just practiced all year and worked out every day and kind of just waiting around, wasn't sure what to do. And then after New Year's, I was fortunate enough to talk to my agent, had a few options, and then now I'm here in Calgary playing with Stockton. It's been a crazy year, but I'm very fortunate and grateful to be playing right now. I know a lot of kids and a lot of adults as well aren't able to play and work right now, and I'm pretty lucky right now. So just having fun and making the most of it, working hard every single day, and trying to help the team win. So yeah, it's been a crazy year.
That's good to hear. So before we kind of get into how you go about the game, different techniques or strategies that you use that have assisted you on your lengthy hockey career, we'll kind of dive into your minor hockey experience. So, tell us, who you played for, what were some ups and some downs, how you kind of, got through maybe the OHL draft and dealt with that transition before we get into your junior hockey.
Yeah, so I'm from Brampton, Ontario. Played with the Brampton Battalion from the AAA team from 7 years old till I want to say 12 or 13 years old. That was awesome. A lot of my buddies now are from those years playing in Brampton. We were a really good team. And I was a good player as well. I was probably one of the top players on the team, and I had a lot of fun. I had 3 older brothers that all went through it, that all played hockey. My dad and my mom knew a lot of I guess a lot of the steps along the way in the journey of being a hockey player, and just kind of every year what it's like. And so I was fortunate that way with being around my brothers and playing. I've been in love with the game since I first skated. I know a lot of guys say that, but it's true. I loved everything about it. And my time in Brampton was awesome. And then a lot of unfortunately, I loved going to the GTHL, but I wish our group stayed together in Brampton. But a lot of guys started to leave, and I went to the Toronto Marlies for a year. And then that was a great year. Played with a lot of great players, and then I went to the North York Rangers for 3 years, which was awesome. Did very well there. I got drafted to Saginaw in the third round, and from there, I don't know if you wanted to stop there on my journey and kind
No,
of
go
get going.
go for it. Go for
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So drafted to Saginaw in the third round. Obviously, the OHL from your minor midget years is a massive step at that age. It's you're playing with older guys now, right? You're playing with 20, 21 year olds. So going to camp, it was kind of a rude awakening. I came from being the top player on my team in minor midget, being drafted to the OHL, to going to rookie camp and going to main camp, and kind of being shocked with how good the league was. And I signed with Saginaw from there, and I didn't end up making the team. I went back to the Oakville Blades and had a great year there. Kind of faced some adversity with, again, just playing junior, the guys being older, stronger, and not playing as much as I wanted to play, and had to get better, as a hockey player, had to get bigger and stronger. And so that was kind of a tough year, a lot of adversity. My 16-year-old year in Oakville, then 17-year-old year. Like I said, I was signed with Saginaw, expecting to make the team. I made the team and got sent home in November. I was scratched a lot, probably 15, 20 games in a row. Then I went back to junior A in Oakville Blades, and I did really well there. That was a big year for me, with confidence and just developing and producing offensively. And then my 18-year-old year made Saginaw. 19-year-old year played Saginaw and played there my whole junior career, and did well. My 19-year-old year and 20-year-old year had really good years. I was fortunate to be invited to the Nashville Predators camp in the NHL, and that was a big step for me. And then after my last year in the OHL, I didn't have many pro options, and I ended up going to University of New Brunswick.
So before we kind of get into UMB, so your second year at Saginaw, you were talking about getting scratched 15, 20 times and then getting sent home. And this is kind of a common experience for younger athletes that, it's not really talked about often. Um, how did you deal with being scratched? Because you went from, your first year, you went back to Oakville, you had a good year, and then you went back to Saginaw and you're getting scratched. Going into that season with confidence and then kind of getting scratched and getting sent home, right? How'd you kind of deal with that?
Well, I think it all started my 16-year-old year in Oakville Blades. I got scratched there a couple of games as well, and I think I just wasn't mature. I kind of lost some confidence, and I wasn't I guess committed to the process of getting better every single day. And no matter what, no matter what line you're on or how many minutes you're playing, or kind of what everything else is going around you, you have to just kind of focus on the day-to-day process of just doing everything you can to get better and to help your team win, to be a better teammate, to push guys around you in practice. And when I was 16, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing those things. And then um, I think that caught up to me my 17-year-old year, when I thought I was going to make Saginaw and do well. But I missed quite some time on development, just because my mindset wasn't there. And then my 17-year-old year, like you just mentioned, I was getting scratched, and that's when I kind of just really focused in on, no matter what, if I'm not playing, I'm still able to get better every single day, and it'll all work out eventually. It's just a part of the process. So I was just working as hard as I can. And then, even though I got sent back to Oakville Blades Junior A, I was hungry. I was ready to go, and I put in my time up in Saginaw for the first month or two there, and just worked hard. And then Oakville had a really good year, 17-year-old year, and then 18-year-old year, I was ready to go with Saginaw.
Right on. And like going from, being a Brampton boy and then playing in the GTHL, moving to, and then playing in Oakville, you're still living at home, right? And then when you went to Saginaw, moving away to not only, it's a different country, it's in the States, right? How was that transition, moving away from home at 17, right? Even though you got sent home, even at 18? How was that transition moving away at that age?
Yeah, at first, there's no question about it. It's tough. It's tough for anyone. It doesn't matter, who you are, how good you are. When you're that young and you're just moving away from your family and your friends, and you're kind of in that, it's junior hockey, but it's kind of a pro environment with the expectations of winning and being your best every single day, and the stressors of school, and how many minutes you're going to play and how you're doing on the ice. It's a lot. You don't want to, living with a whole different family is at first, it's weird. There's no question about it. And, you just got to adjust. It takes some time, but I mean, for me, my billets are great. And I think the teams do a really good job with, picking the right billet families. And then also the billet families have gone through it as well. Like I'm sure their first couple of years it was different for them as well, but a lot of them are, they've been around for a while, so they know exactly what it's like for new kids moving in. They make you feel like home. So for how tough it is at first, I mean, the Bills do a great job, and you kind of just got to get used to it, I guess, and just experience and part of the journey.
Mhm. And then, so from Saginaw, you end up going to UMB. What was the process on, recruiting? Right there, I've heard some guys, just they go based on team success. They don't really need to go see the campus or anything like that. What was kind of your experience with the recruiting for U Sport?
Yeah, my last year in the OHL, my overage year, um, just like any player playing in the OHL or junior hockey or wherever it may be, I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to play pro. So that was tough. I had a good year, but I just knew it wouldn't make sense for me to go to the East Coast Hockey League and kind of grind it out there. I mean, I had a full scholarship to U Sports. I had my school package from the OHL that they provide. So, it was tough to just after games. I mean, a lot of younger guys are talking to NHL teams and talking to their agents about the draft, and I'm, talking to Canadian university teams. So that was kind of, there's no question about it. It was tough. I wanted to just, jump into pro, but that wasn't the case for me, and I needed a lot of time to develop. So, a few teams have talked to me, and then I finally got a call kind of later on, actually. It might have been in March or April. I got a call from the University of New Brunswick, the head coach there, Gardner McDougall. He called me, and I knew that's really the only school that I knew like really develop pro hockey players every single year. I knew Matt Peckgrave went to that school, then he was able to sign a pro deal right out of school, and I did more research on the school, and that's exactly where I wanted to be, just because I wanted to always be a professional hockey player, and
Hmm.
I believe that would be the best spot for me to go to do so. So I talked to him, and then I was able to fly to Fredericton, New Brunswick. I think it was the middle of April, and it was just one of those things. As soon as I got off the plane, as soon as I met some of the guys and saw the rink, I just knew right away that's where I wanted to be. There was no question. It was just that feeling that just right away. Okay, yeah, this is where I want to be.
Hmm.
And then I played 3 years there. I was there this year for my fourth year all year, and then I was able to come to Calgary a month ago.
So going into that transition from the OHL to U Sport, right? How is that transition? Was it similar to kind of minor hockey going into junior, while you're playing with older guys? There's a lot. Maybe there's some different facets of your game that you need to develop, or looking at your stats, you kind of had a breakout year, right? What was kind of your process in going into your first year there?
I think at first I was a little bit surprised with how good the players were. Like every single player that UNB gets are top guys from major junior. And even for me, I think there was 5 or 6 of us that went in my year, and I was, believe it or not, I was kind of like the lower recruit. We had guys, with over 100 points in major junior that could have signed AHL contracts and went that route, but they ended up coming to school. Um, So for me, it was just a matter of working hard every single day because nothing is guaranteed, especially going to school. I know it's CIS and U Sports, but if I didn't work, there was a good possibility I wouldn't be in the lineup. So for me, the team was good, the players were unbelievable, but at the same time, it was a little bit different because I was able to kind of choose where I went, and our team at UNB was an absolute powerhouse every year. So it just and the guys you're playing with are so good. So it just made the transition so much easier. I mean, we played games and just dominate teams for the most part. We lost a few games, and a lot of teams are all the teams were actually really good and they worked super hard. But the team that we had was just unbelievable. The players were unbelievable. So for me, it was kind of an easier transition. I mean, I think it's the hardest I've ever worked as a hockey player, my time at UNB. But I mean, the guys that I was surrounded with, the coaching staff, it just made it that much easier. Our team had a lot of success, so the transition was really good.
Mm-hmm. And then, so that was your going into your first year, and then your second year, you guys end up winning national championship. And then last year, you guys were kind of on the same route, right? That's when the pandemic set in.
Yep, yeah. My first year we lost in the semifinals, unfortunately, the national championships. We won the AUS. The year after, we won the AUS championship, and the guys, we had a good group coming back, and we learned a lot from the year before. Losing, and we knew that wasn't going to happen again. Losing in the semifinals against a big rivalry of ours, we ended up playing them our second year when we won in the semifinals, and we ended up playing. We played really well, and then we won the national championship my second year, and then my third year we had a great group coming back and ranked number one in Canada going into the national championships. We won the AUS. We had an unbelievable year, and it's unfortunate that things got canceled that while we were there at the national championship. But we felt good about our team and how hard we worked to get to that point. It was just unfortunate that we weren't able to play and kind of prove that we could have won. Again, obviously we didn't play, so you can't say we were going to win. But I mean, we had a good group. We had a really good group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good group coming back. And then, so that kind of leading into, the longest off season you've ever had in your life. What was it about? Were there some things this off season that you might have learned about yourself, or that kind of helped you keep going? Because, even going into the summer, you didn't know what was going to go on. Nobody did. And then even going into the first semester, everything's, up in the air. What were some things that kind of helped you keep pushing?
Well, I just knew right from the get go. I just knew I know how hard it is with how long the off season was, and I just knew that eventually I'd be playing hockey again. I'd be back with the team, and eventually everyone's going to be back playing. So for me, it was just kind of a mindset that I could take the time now and kind of just lollygag around and feel sorry for myself and say, all right, I'll start my training in a month or 2 months from now, and still have a month or two to train before the season. But I knew things were going to eventually get back, and I just used the time to develop my game and become faster, become stronger, and kind of even develop things off the ice, some mental practices, and reading and doing some research and listen to podcasts. I did 6 courses in the summer as well. I wasn't able to work, so I would just train and just do courses. So I mean, it was a good time to kind of focus on other things that you don't necessarily or usually have the time to do. So I know the pandemic's being brutal for a lot of people, but for me, it's I just found a way to make the most of it and focus on things that I can control. And I think it's worked out for me. I'm playing in the AHL right now. Obviously, I want to be a lot better, but I guess that's just the attitude. It's an everyday thing. Just because we're stuck on pause right now with the pandemic, it doesn't mean you can't get better every single day, because eventually things are gonna, be rolling and going back to normal. And if you're not ready for that, then it's been a long wait. So for me, I would just getting better every single day and just improving every single day in every aspect. So
And then, so segueing into your experience in the AHL. How has that been for, not only a rookie athlete, come from U Sport going into the AHL, but also, you just had the longest off season and you're not maybe you're not up to game speed. I know you're able to still practice, but you know, there's a difference between being kind of practice ready and then game ready. So how is that transition going into the AHL?
It's been good. We had a pretty good program. Well, we had a really good program at UNB this year with our off ice training and our practices. Our coaches, they work us extremely hard every single day. Every day is accounted for, and really, there's no days off. We get a day off on the weekend, but once you show up to the rink, you got to work. So, and for me, again, the same thing. It's we weren't playing this year, but I just knew where I wanted to be. I had to show up every single day and get better every single day. But yeah, there's no question it's been an adjustment. It's pro hockey. It's the AHL. It's a lot better than what I'm used to, and I think it's just the experience. Figuring out the game a little bit more, playing in more games, and yeah, just the experience and getting out there and you kind of figuring out the speed. It's a lot quicker, and yeah, just trying to get my game legs under me. I think I've been doing a really good job so far. The coaching staff has been awesome. I've been playing a good amount here. I've played 8 games so far, so the adjustments for me has been awesome. It's just about getting better every single day, and I'm by no means satisfied with where I'm at. I'm just trying to get better and be more relied on, and have a bigger impact on my team, and then ultimately helping my team win hockey games every night. So, but yeah, it's been a great adjustment.
Nice, right on. So, for the people that don't really know who Benny Boy is, and I do, um, try to explain to any of the listeners, the process of, how serious you take your training throughout the week, right? There, it is a process, and you've kind of hinted at it throughout the whole episode. But for some of the younger athletes that maybe their coaches, coaches or parents keep telling them, buy into the process, but they don't really know exactly what that process is, right? It almost seems like a buzzword that people kind of throw around. It's similar to like a mental toughness, right? It's kind of like a buzzword. So for your process on how you approach your training, which influences your performance on the ice, how is it that you go about it? Like, what has worked for you?
Yeah, so for me, the training obviously I take really seriously because I think it's probably the out of every single factor of where I'm at right now, it's definitely the number one reason with for my success. And um, I develop all of my not all of my confidence, but a lot of my confidence through the work I put in off the ice. And there's no better feeling than knowing that you've put in a crazy amount of work. You've I guess fulfilled your potential for where you're at right now. Obviously, the process is an ongoing thing, but for me, it's going into camp, going into games, and just knowing that you've worked harder than anyone else. It's a big thing, and for me, it's when you feel good on the ice. There's no better feeling. There's been a few times in my career where you're kind of huffing and puffing on the ice. You're trying to get your wind, and you don't feel good. So for me, I just love feeling good on the ice. My conditioning and being strong, and kind of being ready to go. So I guess that I don't know if that answered your question or not, but yeah, it's just something I've kind of got more serious in throughout the years, and it's something that um, I plan to continue to do. I mean, every single summer I find a way to get faster, to get stronger, and I guess just my standard is just rising every single summer. And then obviously being surrounded by my trainers with how smart they are with the new technologies and the new programs that they're instilling for us, and just the knowledge that they learn every single year. It's helped me a lot. So um, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
And so, you keep talking about, putting in hard work and stuff like that. And I think within the culture of hockey, and this could be just my opinion, but a lot of parents that might not have played the game, right? They may think, I'm not saying that this is how they all think, but at least with some of the parents that I have communicated with, there's a misconception that, my kid needs to be on the ice, that he needs to be doing this, or my daughter needs to be doing this. And they kind of approach athlete development from a more is better perspective. And, when you think about your training, is that how you kind of approach your training?
It's funny that you asked me that question, because I think one of the biggest things that I've learned within my whole life as a hockey player is literally what you just talked about right now, is more is better. So after my 19-year-old year in the OHL, I was invited to the Nashville Predators NHL camp. Obviously really fired up, had a good start to my summer training, and then I went to their development camp um, middle of summer, and then had a good camp, felt good, and then I was like, wow, like I'm close. Like I want to sign an NHL contract with this team. I'm gonna just train twice a day until the rookie tournament and until their main camp, and I ended up doing that. Trained really hard, like really, really hard. I've never trained that hard in my life. And I went to their camp, and I was exhausted. Like I couldn't even move. I was just completely exhausted, mentally, physically. And I felt brutal. I felt brutal for a while from that. So, um, that's something that, like I mentioned, that's like the biggest learning experience I think I've ever had as a hockey player, is that more is not better at all. And just as you mentioned, it's unfortunate that um, a lot of parents take that avenue, and I've seen it a lot, and um, it's not good at all. Even as a pro, just looking back, I mean, you need your time off the ice. I'd like to take some time off the ice, probably a month after the season at least, and then I'm a guy that loves to work out all the time, but once I get back, I'll take a little bit of time off and maybe work out a couple times a week here and there until my program starts. But yeah, rest is massive. And then even as a younger player, I mean, I think getting into other sports, learning other things as well, I think is massive. It's something I wish that I would have done a little bit more as a kid growing up, getting into other sports. But yeah, for me, it's when you if you have the right trainer, and they know what they're doing. I mean, I don't think you'll have a problem, but I think, yeah, you have to be careful. You do not want to do more. That's for sure. And I've learned the hard way with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not a good experience, especially, with hockey between 16 to say 20 years old, 21 years old. Those are prime years for, getting drafted, signing contracts, right? That's when getting drafted to the NHL at 18, right? You don't want to mess those years up or tarnish them by overdoing it, right? So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
So when you think back on your career so far, or things that you're using right now, what helps you kind of deal with adversities, from maybe a mental skill standpoint or a mental performance standpoint? What helps you deal with any sort of adversities throughout your day? This could be outside of the rink, or during your game. Like, how do you deal with mistakes?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, obviously, I've learned, I'm in no way perfect, and I think I've learned a lot through my experiences, and I think that's the biggest takeaway is that, um, when something happens, it's a part of the process, and it's gonna just make you better. I mean, you learn from your mistakes. I think that's the biggest thing. It's a lot of people say it, but the things that happen to you are gonna make you stronger. I've been through a lot of adversities, and I'm I'm happy that I had been through those, because those are the things that had made me into the person I am right now. And then secondly, with I guess with the mental aspect of it, with day to day adversities, I mean, you just gotta kind of find a way to push through it. There's a few things I practice every single day: a little bit of meditation, some yoga stuff, some goal setting, and with working with you, we developed that that personal philosophy, and that's something that no matter what, if I have a bad day, if I have a tough practice or a tough game, that's just something I'll peek at, I'll take a look at, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like these are my values, and this is what I'm going to stick to, and that kind of helps me get back on my path, and just kind of using those things every single day. But I think the biggest thing is just being through it. The experiences of the adversity, and just being resilient with it, just kind of bounce it back, and knowing those things are going to help you. I know it sucks. For me, I've been through some stuff that I'm happy I've gone through, as bad as it is at the time, but it kind of helps you in the long run for sure.
Hmm. So if you were, before we kind of wrap up, if you were to talk to either, say a younger team, say they could be in their draft year, or maybe a younger you, what would be some advice or some guidance that you would give either that team or yourself, a younger you?
Um, there's so, there's just so much in my mind with that question, but honestly, just work hard, work as hard as you can, have fun, be a good teammate, and no matter what, every single experience that you deal with, just have a good attitude. With whatever's going on, have a good attitude, work hard, and again, like, be a good teammate. Just know that the hardships that you're going through is, like I said, I'll say it again, it's going to just help you kind of develop, and help you and help you learn down the road. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just, and obviously I said have fun, but yeah, just enjoy it, enjoy the process. I'm young into my pro career, but things have gone by pretty quick, with at school, with major junior, with junior A, with minor hockey. I'm 25 now, so it's just and then even speaking with the veterans on my team, they just they're looking down on me and saying enjoy it, because I'm over 30 years old. I have a few kids, and I don't know how many more years I have left. So for me, it's just don't take a day for granted, and no matter what, just have fun, work hard, be a good teammate, because it goes by pretty quick.
Right on. All right. Thank you, Benny boy.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries.
I just wanted to say, yeah, thanks for being number two on the podcast. And it was a treat. I hope the listeners enjoyed it. They learned a thing or two about you, other than just being dominant on the bike. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.